council for Monday, November 7th, 2016. And need the approval of the agenda. Councilor Kirby. And second, Councilor Kalka. All in favor? Okay, approval of the minutes for the regular meeting for October 3rd, 2016. Councilor Schwant.
The council adopt,
Go ahead.
the agenda of November 7th, 2016, regular meeting of council as presented.
Seconder. Kalka. Meeting, special meeting for October 14th. Kirby.
Recommendation that council adopt the minutes of the October 24th, 2016 special council meeting as presented.
I have to excuse myself for 2 seconds.
All in favor?
Sorry, isn't it supposed to be the 14th? 14th and then the 24th, something like that.
October 14th, that one. That's the one you're doing.
I did the 24th. Okay, October 14th, yes.
You can do the 14th.
Okay, yeah. Recommendation that council adopt the minutes of October 24th, 2016 special council meeting as presented.
Seconder.
It's a typo.
It's a typo. There's a type error there, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Seconder, all in favor? Any business arising from these minutes? Councilor Kirby.
Thank you, Mayor McPherson. I was just going to see if there's any follow-up with Jaren Regan regarding the pet restrictions.
Mr. Wall.
I believe we'll have that on the December 5th meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
And that takes us to council meetings summary sheet, 2018.
Just a quick question, if we've been in contact with HD Mining recently, more recent than July 4th. There is some rumors floating around the town that there are some people back in town looking to get that place going again, so if there's any contact with that.
Mr. Wall.
The last time, do you mean the mine or the housing project?
No, with the actual mine.
The last time I spoke to HD was just 2 days ago, and they gave no indication that anything was going to be going within the next year and a half.
Okay, and so they're no sooner to come see council until they're ready to do something?
The invitation again was sent out there. They haven't kept it in.
And we will be seeing them on Wednesday, so we can question them on what their plans are. To the summary sheet. Petitions and delegations, the Royal Canadian Legion. Sean and Ben, welcome to the table.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Guess you know what we're here for, Remembrance Day. We have a couple points that we'd like to ask you. The first one being that recognize Mayor and Council could proclaim the week of November 7th to the 11th as Veterans Day in our community, or our Veterans Week. Again, on the second point, Legion is also asking a request from Mayor and Council that the district supply some tables and chairs to the TRSS on November the 10th and return them on November 11th after the ceremony of Remembrance Day. Legion is also requesting from Mayor and Council for a temporary road closure for a parade. We do a color parade from the Legion to the TRSS and back again to the Legion. Probably around from 10 o'clock, I think, in the morning till 12 o'clock after that. So. And the final one is, again, the Legion is also requesting that Mayor and Council waive all the fees to these couple tasks that we're asking for. We're expecting a pretty good turnout again this year, so hopefully we'll see everybody there.
Okay. Well, I will make that proclamation. Whereas Canada's traditional period of ceremoniation of wartime sacrifice by Canadians has been expanded beyond Remembrance Day, as the Government of Canada has designated a special period of
Commemoration.
Commemoration, sorry, thank you. Commemoration called Veterans Week. Whereas all Canadians are encouraged to honor all veterans who served as cause of the peace and freedom during both World Wars, the Korean War, and also with the international peacekeeping forces in all corners of the world. And whereas we are honored to express our appreciation to veterans for their loyalty, dedication, and sacrifice as members of the armed forces. And whereas we are honored to express our appreciation to veterans for their loyalty, dedication, and sacrifice as members of the armed forces. And whereas we recognize the selfless courage of the many Canadian men and women who left home and family to contribute to the victory of the Allies. And whereas we remember those on the home front who rallied to support the war efforts. Now, therefore, I, Don McPherson, Mayor of Tumber Ridge, do hereby proclaim the week of November 5th to the 11th, 2016 as Veterans Week in Tumber Ridge. And we will be looking at your requests later in Okay, so we go to correspondence. Canada Post review for information or discussion. And I think it should be some discussion on this as it might have something to do with our post office. Mr. Wall, you were saying this could be affecting the post office here in town.
Yeah, what it looks like they're saying in this letter is that they're going to examine the moratorium on closing Canada Post in small rural communities. So right now, I understand there is a moratorium that no Canada Post offices in small rural communities are going to be closed. What it says in this letter is that they're going to examine removing that moratorium. So they provide a web link for people to go to and put their comments in. So it might be a good idea if people are interested in keeping the Canada Post here to make their comments known.
Is that something we should maybe put in the paper so people, advertise it so people know about it and put their views in? Because it'd be sure be a shame to lose our post office. Anybody else have anything? Councillor Casey?
Thank you, Worship. I'm just wondering whether or not it would be worthwhile to get any of our political representatives involved in it as well, since we're the only one, well, for the most part, within our own area that is classified as a small community, perhaps with the exception of maybe Chetwynd. But whether or not that might be worthwhile to at least plug them into it to see whether or not they could do anything about that or get a clear idea as to what the parameters are going to be and so forth. Just a suggestion.
Mr. Wall? That's something we can do?
Yeah, it's up to council.
Come up with a letter of support from, say, Mike Bernier and letter of concern, I guess is what.
I was
Councillor
just
Scott.
requesting a letter from our staff as well, like, with our concerns. You know, what would happen to a community such as ours if that closed. So we can't afford to lose any more services.
Councillor Kirby.
Yes, I went on the website, we got this, the reporting period closed on October 21st, but you can go find some information, and they haven't set any, parliamentary committee visits in our area. So, I mean, when that happens, just keep on the ball and make sure that we get to one of those, I think, and just, exactly right, I mean, some of the concerns are, the home delivery, which we haven't had for a while, but, just how it affects the seniors and, just some of the other services that we lost when they took out the postal service. I think it's very important to keep up too.
Councillor Hop.
Just a question to council, if we should perhaps talk to the, what's it called, the head postmaster, is that what they call it in Tumble Ridge, and just see if they have any concerns about that. Maybe we're way off base off this. Maybe we're not one of these outlets that could possibly be closed.
Yeah.
Maybe contacting them first to say, do they have any concern about closing before we jump down on it? They should be in the know more than us, right?
When I read it, it had mostly to do with house-to-house delivery. But if they're open up tomorrow, moratorium, then it could go farther than that. But I think a letter of concern would be
That suggestion on the floor there for council to
Okay.
vote on, just to write a letter or have Mr. Wall contact the head postmaster here in Tumblr Ridge and see if this is something that we should be delving into or getting involved in.
Seconder? Councilor Carpenter? Any more discussion on it? All in favor? Second is 6.2, New Life Assembly Christmas Food Drive. I think they're asking for a date. Some of us can attend that. I know the previous ones, the issue I see is that getting the word out that we're doing it. Because we go down so many streets and people are saying, oh, what are you up to, kind of thing. And I don't know how we can do it better. You gotta be, Facebook, I guess, is the number one way of doing it. I don't know if we've done it that way before, but it seems like everybody, once it's on Facebook, everybody knows about it.
Yeah, thank you, Rich. I mean, I think, I'm the same thing with you. I didn't do last year's, but I did the previous year. The same thing, a lot of people didn't know it was that day and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I know on my own, I'd be willing to bag stuff, an ad in the bags in the grocery store. So we had a lot of people there, so we'd be willing to do that as another advertisement. If the district would supply the bag stuffer, we would definitely bag it on behalf of council. If you wish.
We could have that as part of it. So what are we looking for here?
I believe they're looking for a date.
Date? Okay, so, anybody have any dates in mind? And we've got,
I think the 10th is a start Christmas party. December 10th?
Second. Yeah.
how about that first weekend in, would be the 3rd on Saturday?
Let's see.
Anybody on council have a problem with the 3rd?
No.
So we'll do that, and I think we should look at what Daryl's talking about. But people that aren't gonna be around on the 3rd, and have a place that they can still be involved. And,
Thank you, Richard. Would this be the same time that we asked if the Tumblr Ridge Fire Department would join us? Because they normally help us out, but I think we need to make sure that date works with their manpower and their apparatus.
yeah,
I'm not sure if firm a date tonight or another time, Mr. Wall.
Ms. Torval says the small business Christmas party is gonna be on the 3rd. What time are we thinking about doing the food drive? Is it gonna be a kind of a morning thing, or?
we usually do it, I know the ones I've been involved in, it's been 10 o'clock. We meet at the fire hall.
Okay.
And it's usually done by about 2.
The 3rd is looking good from our end, yep.
Okay. I know the public works usually decorates the gator or something.
Yeah, we'll get staff involved on whenever you guys choose the date, we'll make sure we're ready.
Councilor Scott?
For advertising, do we post stuff like that on the community bulletin board at the community center then?
It sure should be.
Yeah, when we do our advertising that goes up on, we've got 3 or 4 spots that we do Canada Post, I believe, at the Shop Easy at the community center. We put it on our Facebook, we put it on our webpage, and then we'll put it in the paper as well.
Everything you need there, Mr. Wall?
So it sounds like December 3rd, 10 o'clock, meeting at the fire hall.
Yeah, that would be
If you wanted to pass that motion, that would be helpful.
Make them, Darryl?
I make a motion that we pick December 3rd for 10 a.m. meeting at the Fire Hall for the meeting of council's food drive with the help of the district staff.
Councilor Roch. Any more discussion on it? All in favor? Okay, next is 6.3, the Emperor's Challenge Mountain Run. Guys have went over good this year. Information or discussion?
For information.
Second after that? Councilor Casey, all in favor? 6.4, UPCM 2016 meeting with the Ministry of Jobs, Tourism, and Skills Training, and Minister responsible for labor, which was Mr. Bond. Councilor Casey,
Move for information, your worship.
yay. Second. Councilor Casey, all in favor? Okay, 6.5, the pond designated as municipal park. Got a letter from Marcia. Information and discussion. Councilor Casey,
For information, your worship.
seconder. Councilor Kirby, all in favor? Okay, 6.6, Grow Event Tourism, December 2nd, 2016. I'd like to suggest, this is a tourism event that I think Councilor Kirby should be attending. You can probably speak better to it than I can, so Councilor Kirby.
Thank you, Mayor McPherson. I was, when I looked at this, I was interested in it and was interested kind of in regards to staff also. But looking through it, I, for this year, maybe could pass on this and look at it in a form of maybe bringing this event to Tumbler Ridge, looking at who the guest speakers are, having it in our area. It could be more beneficial than just myself going out to it. From what the staff's tourism budget has been spent up this year to partake in this, but, looking into having one of these events in Tumbler is something I'd like to look at in the future.
Anybody else? Okay, so we'll just take it as information then. Okay,
Thank you.
you're seconder for that? Okay, all in favor? Okay, UBCM 2016 Ministry of Environment. Mr. Hobbs,
See for information.
seconder. Scott, in favor? Mountain RV Park. We should have some discussion on this. I think it was pretty well run this year. And the letter there stated a lot of stuff. And I would like to see maybe let's have Roxanne attend a P&P and we can discuss some of this stuff and see if we can work something out. And, put some effort into solving some of the problems that she had there. It sounded like most of it was pretty positive stuff. Kind of nice to see. Anybody else have anything? Councilor Casey?
Thank you, worship. I certainly would concur with having her come and perhaps as a delegation. Well, I thought the report was really well done and brought up a number of issues, and I think it raises a number of questions as well. But I would certainly support inviting her as a delegation, whatever, and address more specifically some of the areas brought up. But I thought the report was great and covered a vast amount of things that I think that if we took some action on a good number of them, that would be very, very helpful, improve the situation.
Yeah. Councilor Hobbs?
And just, is this something that we should do in a closed meeting in case we're gonna start talking about, the value of the contract or what was in place or the money, this and that, rather than letting the public know all about what their specific idea was or something? Is this something that should be enclosed?
Mr. Hobbs? I First of all.
If you're having issues and you wanna talk about the way the company went about operating it, I think close is a good idea. If you wanna talk about the value to the community of making some of the changes that are recommended in here, that should probably be done in open. So I think some of it, most of it could probably be discussed in open, but then if you wanna talk about how things are run specifically by the contractor, if you wanna talk about setting rates for the contract for next year, we should do that in closed.
And with that, can we get costs together from the district, like what we had for costs over there and any revenue that came out of it or however that worked?
Yeah, that would all be open information, but we can collect that, yeah.
Scott?
But that's what I was going to ask, was for the financials and what it was to cost for the district, all of the information that we need, you know, similar to what we had last year when the proponents made their reports. That was one thing I thought was missing from this.
Okay. Councillor Kirby?
Thank you, Mayor McPherson. I'd like to also invite the Lions Club down and see if we can get an update from them on the Lions campground. The Campground and Waterfront Committee, we're gonna be looking at in the future at sites, you know, for riverboating and stuff. So getting input from both of the companies already providing that service might fill in some gaps when we're looking at how the boat launch and how that's all gonna go. And then if there's work to be done, that we could kind of look at all of it at once.
Okay. If we just address type of repairs and stuff first, in an open meeting, and then address the contract later in a closed, would that not be the way to handle it? So could I get a recommendation to invite Roxanne and maybe at the same time invite Lions to come and talk about what they feel are the needs in the campgrounds? And that wouldn't be contract issues, that'd be strictly what they'd like to see for next year done in the campgrounds. Okay.
We'll do that at PPC.
Yeah, we do it at a PPC, yeah.
Okay.
Seconder for that? Kirby, all in favor? Okay, bylaws is none, new business, Remembrance Day thing here, which is pretty well what we do every year, I think. Councilor Kirby.
I'd like to make the recommendation that council approves the request from the Royal Canadian Legion branch by authorizing the community center staff to transport tables and chairs to and from the Tumbler Ridge Secondary School for their November 11th, 2006 Remembrance Day service, and the council approves the road closure on Southgate Avenue and associated labor costs on November 11th, 2016 from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. to allow the Remembrance Day parade between the Legion and the Tumbler Ridge Secondary School. Actually, in reading that, I think they wanted that November 10th so that they can have it set up for the high school schools service also, so
Okay.
make an amendment to that to say November 10th.
Okay.
November 10th is on the equipment. And
Yeah.
November 11th, so.
Yeah.
Okay, seconder for that? Councilor Casey, all in favor? Okay, 8.2, Council BC Resource Municipality Coalition. We could have a recommendation, then I can bring up the discussion.
The council approves an amount of $17,497 with the budget allocation to be determined for the District of Tumbler Ridge to join the Northeast BC Resource Municipalities Coalition.
Seconder. I've got a few things to say. To start with, involved in a couple of things with the coalition. And that was trip to Ottawa and demonstration on the steps of the legislature. And they are they're very strong, dedicated group. They got a good thinking skill. I mean, Colin is a sharper guy when it comes to this type of stuff. Comes to provincial government stuff, as anybody around. I know I spoke against this a couple of years ago with fair share, but that was a difference of opinion between, I think it was more like a Fort St. John based punch against the South Peace, and I still think we got the best that we could have got out of that, although they tend to want to argue that sometimes. But since then, this other stuff, they do get in the face of provincial government. They are recognized by the provincial government. They sat with the premier and UBCM, where I know the regional district did. I have preached in the regional district that we've got to be a little bit more in your face kind of thing, which I think you'll get, but the regional district is a different group than what we're talking about here, and they're more laid back, and they don't really get involved in some of the issues that the coalition does get involved in. I think the coalition would be a great promoter for the CN issue we have right now. Stuff like that is what they get their teeth around and really do something about. So I've kind of turned around on this, and I'm speaking for the recommendation. So how?
Yeah, and my question would be to you is this exact issue that we're having with the CN and with the rail tracks and what's going on there, is this joining this group, does this give us a much stronger voice than just utilizing the regional district to go in? That's your opinion, that these guys would help us get in the CN to say, listen, like this is critically important for the region and the area, and you think that would definitely help us get something like the rail line issues fixed up sooner rather than later?
Yeah, they would have asked me, and they already told me that they would get behind this and really push behind it, because it's very, very important for the region, and they're right behind us and pushing this thing forward.
And to me, $17,000 is a small thing to ask if this can actually help us get that CN rail in, and any bit of help we can to get that thing expedited for Canuma, I think is in everyone's best interest in the entire community. So I'm all for it.
Councilor Kirby.
Thank you, Mayor McPherson. I agree, I'm for it also. I'd like to know with joining the coalition, will the District of Tumbler Ridge have a seat on the executive committee?
I would be part of the, Mr. Wall, the executive committee, is that just a group of mayors?
I'm not familiar, Your Worship.
Okay, the guy could run for whatever he wanted, for sure. I mean, they have been courting us to get back into this thing quite hot and heavy. They've actually asked me to fly back in on Wednesday to come to their meeting on Wednesday, and I said, well, I can't guarantee you that how this is going to go, but they said, no, we still want you there, and they have asked me to talk at their thing on December 2nd, conference going on, just to talk about Tumbler Ridge's how things have done in how things have affected us. The resource sector has affected Tumbler Ridge. So yeah, I think if I wanted to be, I could be part of their
That would be, to me, that would be beneficial, and then we also have a voice when it comes to coal mining and wind, so I see this as a plus to join the coalition.
Councilor Scott.
I would be in favor of this too. To me, this is resource and industry driven, and I've always been in support of this. They also band together for hiring local companies and northern companies. So it is something that puts the emphasis on people in the north continuing to do the work rather than bringing in, from out of province or down south. My only concern is it is like the northern, like Fort St. John, Taylor, like the north piece that is, very, driven, pushing this.
Yeah.
And the south piece is kind of taking a backseat. And I see with our Northern Health, everything seems to be going to Fort St. John, like Boston is losing the cancer. So that's the only thing that I'm thinking, if we join this, maybe it'll give us a voice to making sure that we get some of those, extra critical needs that are happening in Northern Health and stuff like that as well.
That's one thing they've done since the South Peace mayor's kind of pulled out of it, is that they've strengthened it. They've gone with the Chamber of Commerce's and Dawson Creek Chamber is a part of the Northeast Coalition. And companies like the Northern Truckers and,
Yes.
you know, and they've got a really firm base of small business or business itself backing them. So, yeah, I think they're a lot
Yeah.
stronger because of that.
Yes. Well, that's the job factor, and that's what retains the people in the north as well. So I do think this is a benefit to join and get that support that Tumbler Ridge needs.
Okay, Mr. Wall?
Just a note on page 46, section 6, it says the municipal members would form the executive governance component. So I think that sounds like if we were to join, our representative would be on the executive committee.
Yeah, I can't say for sure, but I think so too. Hey, any more discussion on that? All in favor? Opposed? I was just, do we have to talk about the attendance to the meetings now, or all of that? Should that be included in this?
Attendance to the NEBC meetings.
Yeah,
I would say that tomorrow we'll reach out to the NEBC and let them know that council's passed, and then they'll let us know what the next steps are gonna be.
Okay.
Do you mean who from council is going to go to the meetings?
well, the cost of attending the meetings,
Okay, getting that included in travel?
yeah.
Yeah, we'll need to talk about that.
Okay, because, well, this one, I mean, I'm there anyway.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to it on Wednesday night. But, yeah, okay, so you'll just bring that back to us somewhere down the line?
Yeah.
Okay, 8.3, disposal of the ladder truck, ladder 3. This is another thing I got an opinion on. I would love to see us make sure there's nobody up here in the north that could use that truck before we do anything with it. You know, I know, I think Charlie Lake or I know that somebody got one of our trucks. There's a small community around here that can use that truck. So, you know, I think there's a chance that maybe somebody could use that. And I know a ladder truck where you have in Charlie Lake or Tom's Lake or something like that you need a ladder truck on it. I guess you don't. But good to question and just make sure that there is no use for it here first. And then we'd look at sending it overseas or whatever. Does anybody else have any suggestions on that? Councilor Howard?
Yeah, I'd rather see us take this truck and send it out to the Ritchie Brothers spring auction in Grand Prairie. I think that's our best bang for our buck. I'd look at, you know, is there any issues between selling a piece of equipment that was registered in British Columbia, in Alberta? I'd look at that side of it before we go ahead with it, but in my mind, that's the best deal for our taxpayers and tax dollars. We're spending $1 million on a fire truck. If we can get, I don't know what we're gonna get back for it, but there's no reason to say you couldn't get $100,000 back for that truck. I know they've got in here for $7,000, but you know, if somebody needs it, you can get $100,000 for that truck.
Yeah, just the mines, I know, that back in the day bought a fire truck. So there is some companies that need that stuff. Darryl, you had something?
Yeah. I like both ideas. Honestly, like, I like the idea of seeing if there's anywhere in our area that needs it first, whether it's community. Or, again, I know our local fire department here has responded to the mines to give them assistance. I believe they have a contract for that, but that doesn't mean that one of the mines would not be interested in something like that. Right, I know they say there were some issues with certain things, but Mine Act and Community Act are two different things when it comes to fire suppression services. So, I think we should put a recommendation on the floor that we send staff to investigate those options maybe. I don't wanna put the recommendation yet, like maybe some other councils can information into it or some bait it first, but I know there's a recommendation here, but I think maybe we should, maybe we discuss it, a recommendation on the floor or something, but whether it's, find out if there's other communities that are interested, or whether it be Cherry Lake or anybody like that, or Kelly Lake, or if, maybe one of the mines are might be inquiring about a fire truck, cause I know, when Tech first started to open, they actually went and rented one, cause they had to have a truck on the site. So, might be an option. And I also do wanna make sure too, I'm not sure if this came from, Fire Chief Curry, but I know a lot of communities are doing the donation thing, whether it's in Alberta, BC, so I mean, hats off to you to look into that or receive that letter, so just through Mr. Walden, Chief Curry, so.
Councillor Casey.
Thank you, Worship. Just a question for clarity. Are we looking at trying to sell it for a price or donate it? Just not clear.
If we're going, Ritchie Brothers who would be selling it, if we're going, if there's a small community that needs something like that.
It would be a donation and so forth. What kind of money, again, would we be looking at for a truck in this shape, this year, whatever? What sort of range of dollars would we be looking at, assuming we were successful to sell it?
I think if a mine or somebody was looking at it, it'd be worth a lot more than if it was just going to a smaller community.
The reason I'm asking that is I was in favor of the donation side of it to the group that's suggested here. But I mean, is it if it's a $50,000, $100,000 that we could get back on that raises the ante and is different in my mind. But if it's $5,000, it may not be worth that effort. That's why I'm asking the question, just for clarity.
So all, obviously the price would be low if for another community to take it, but you never know on an auction base.
Yeah, we're not sure. I mean, it's a very old truck. I don't think you're gonna get many communities wanting to take it because the upkeep on it is gonna be pretty expensive. Having said that, when you put something in auction, you never know, it might not get sold at all. It might go for a high dollar if there's more than one person interested in it. So. But no, the reason that our recommendation is to donate is that we don't think that there's gonna be anybody terribly interested in this truck at this point.
Councillor Strauch.
Have we ever taken anything to like a Ritchie Brothers auction? Is that something the district has entertained?
I think we have sold pieces of equipment through there. I think last year we sold maybe a street cleaner or something we sold through the auction. So we have taken things to auction before, and that is part of our disposal of assets policies that we can do that. So it's up to council what you want to do. We can take this to auction. We can donate it to the letter that we have here. We can see if there's a community in the north that would want to take it. So just similar to Councillor Casey, I've just asked for clarity. Are we, if we find a community in the north that wants it, are we donating that, or are we just taking it straight to auction? Just what's council's direction here?
I have no intention of donating the fire truck to other communities in the area. If they wanna buy it from us, go ahead. But in my mind, we auction this thing off. This is our asset. Why should we give it to somebody that can take it and then they can auction it off next year? Let's just send it to auction and see what we get for it. We're gonna get more than scrap for it. That's my opinion on it. Myself, Helen, we've been in a lot of these types of situations with equipment and auctions, and in my experience, their Grand Prairie Spring Auction is the best place to sell equipment. And by the sounds of things, our truck is not going to be ready to go until sometime in around Christmas time, by the report I read earlier today. So we've got to hold on to it for 3 months and store it somewhere and then ship it off there. I mean, it looks good. It's a good looking truck. And if somebody's willing to sink a couple of $100,000 into it, maybe they are, maybe they aren't. But to me, there's lots of equipment for sale on Ritchie Brothers fire trucks right now. You can go on there and check them right now. So somebody's selling, somebody's buying.
Okay, but you get a recommendation, we could.
Put the recommendation on the floor that the District of Tumbler Ridge pursue selling ladder 3 and the upcoming Ritchie Brothers auction in spring 2017.
Okay, seconder, Scott. Any more discussion on it? All in favor? Opposed? Okay, the new ladder truck, who are we looking for here, Mr. Wall?
This is just for information.
Anybody? Motion to take it for information, Council Kirby,
Move for information?
seconder. Council Parker. All in favor? Okay, the car rep funding. For information, Council Kirby,
Move for information?
seconder. Scott. All in favor? BC Natural Resource Forum, Premier's BC Natural Resource Forum, 2017. I think we were looking at this to have anybody wanted to go to that. Council, it is a good conference. There's a lot of people there, and it's nice to see a good turnout there. All right. For discussion, anybody have anything to? Okay. Where do we want to go with this? Want to make a motion?
If you want to approve your travel, we'll need a motion, yes.
Councilor Scott, you have something?
Will this be coming out of the 2017 budget?
And how close is this to the NCLGA? Do you know those dates yet?
This one's in January, and the NCLGA is usually not till March, I don't think.
Oh,
And it will be the 2017 budget. Do we have a recommendation on there?
This is for information. Discussion.
Steve, Mayor McPherson, you have the total estimated per attendee, so if you know how many people wanna go, you can just approve, 3 counselors to travel at an expense of no more than $2,100 per attendee.
Okay. And we have I know how many people would be interested in attending. Councilor Kirby.
Would it be possible to, well, I guess just to, make a recommendation for the full amount so that we can decide that closer to the date? Up to $14,000, depending on how many counselors will be attending? Or would you like an answer tonight?
I don't think we really need an answer tonight, Councilor Scott.
is there a penalty or is there an early registration? We need to know that date so we can get back.
Yeah, there usually is an early registration date on these, I don't know off the top of my head when that would be. Okay. Council doesn't have to deal with this tonight, if you guys don't know who wants to go, you have the cost here, you can just leave it up to yourselves to bring back, through notices of motion if you like.
Okay, so I just want to make sure it gets back to council before it's a last minute thing. So we set a date that we can bring it back to council.
Yeah, whichever meeting you'd like to discuss it at.
Okay.
December 5th, perhaps?
December 5th. Why don't we bring it back then? Everybody can think about it. Decide. Okay, 8.7, the performance review for the CAO. Talking about bringing Mr. Banham into that, Councilor Hopper.
The recommendation on the floor, the council approves Mr. Brown's facilitation of 2016 CAO performance review process.
Seconder, Councilor Casey. Any discussion on it?
I'm just wondering if we know what the approximate cost of that is.
I don't, Your Worship. I can find out and bring that back to council.
Councillor Kirby.
Thank you, Your Worship. I myself do not feel that Mr. Banham's presence is needed at the CEO performance review.
Casey.
I'm sorry, Your Worship, I didn't hear Councillor Kroka's comment.
I was just wondering what the cost, bringing Mr. Banham was gonna cost us for 2 days.
Thank you.
There's also the option, council, to have him just join by phone.
Councillor Kirkconnell.
Thank you, Your Worship. And again, the cost, we don't know the cost for that either, though,
Saves the travel.
right? Yeah, well, I was just wondering what the cost is, right?
Councillor Casey.
Well, Your Worship, the only comment I have on it is the fact that it's an extremely important document, and it should be done. It requires a lot of work to get it done and get it done properly, and gathering the facts and gathering all of our opinions and everything else. I know that because we got involved with that last year and so forth. So I certainly have no problem with having Mr. Banham come in and do all of that work and so forth, and then report back to us. We'll be interviewed by him. We'll be able to have the opportunity of pursuing any comments that are made and so forth. And I think, it should be done, number one, regardless of who does it, it should be done by somebody that knows what they're doing. And secondly, it's a whole lot of work for anybody who has not prepared one of those performance reviews in the past. I can assure you, it's a hell of a lot of work. So that's my recommendation, is to proceed with Mr. Banham.
And I agree with that as well. I think there's a lot more work to this than just saying yay or nay that the CAO is doing a good job or is not doing a good job. And I think we lean quite heavily on our CAA to help us through many of these other issues that we work on. So having somebody who's been in the position that Mr. Wall is in within the community is a huge asset to us that most communities probably don't get. And we want to make sure that we're doing this right, so we're not guilty of the Tumbler Ridge Golden Handshake anymore. And I think this is a prime opportunity to bring someone in to help us along with it. It costs us, maybe we could set a limit on what we are willing to approve tonight, but to me, I think his advice is worth its weight.
I agree with you. We've done it the wrong way long enough. Let's do it right. It's do it for Mr. Wall. He knows it's done right. Down the road, we can look at different ways of doing it. But I think right now we're not through our issues yet from not having this done right. So I agree with you guys that we should be having. And any other discussion on it? All in favor? Opposed? Uh, 8.8, appointment of fire chief and bylaw. Mr. Howe.
Recommendation that council resolve that Dustin Curry is hereby appointed as fire chief bylaw officer for the purpose of enforcing all bylaws in the district of Tumbler Ridge. And Dustin Curry is hereby authorized to enter onto and inspect property pursuant to section 16 of the community charter for the purposes of determining whether all regulations, provisions, and requirements are being met in relation to the district's bylaws.
Seconder for that. Councilor Kirby. Any discussion? Councilor Scott.
I was in the insurance office the one day, and somebody was trying to renew insurance, and there was an issue with inspections of chimneys and stoves. It's my understanding we don't have that in Tumbler Ridge anymore. I'm just wondering how long it'll be before they have to, are we looking at addressing that right now, people? And just about, I think every home has a fireplace or a wood stove. It sounds like people have to hire somebody from out of Tumbler Ridge to do the inspections. Is that being looked at?
Mr. Wall.
So I believe what Councilor Scott is talking about is the wet certification, wet inspections. Our previous fire chief had the ability to do wet inspections, so did it. It's not normally a service offered by municipalities. If council wants this to be a service offered by the District of Tumbler Ridge, we can put it on the training plan for our fire chief or somebody else, but there is access to wet inspections through somebody who comes in from Dawson Creek. So this is one of those items that if council wants this to be a municipal service, it's something that we can put higher up on the priority for our departments.
Yeah, I actually would prefer that we didn't take this on. If this is not something normally that municipalities do, and we had the fire chief doing it previously, I mean, fantastic on us for helping the residents out again. But is this an opportunity for somebody to you know, possibly build a small business around it? To me, I think we hold off on getting our fire chief the training on it at this point and see if anybody thinks it's worth a business opportunity to go after in Tumbler Ridge. And if in 6 months we haven't had anybody go after it, maybe we discuss it at a later time.
Thank you, Worship. Councilor Howell hit most of it, but I also believe, in previous, our fire chief was doing it at no charge. So the district was getting nothing back for doing those. I'm sure if that's correct or not.
I believe there was no charge.
So, you know, it's a free service, you know, so I mean, if, like you said, if you get a business going and somebody opens up a business, so be it. But I think if it's something that we ask for him in to take that on and go with the training, that there is gonna be a fee set, like, it's time out of their day.
That's right.
Great, so, what do we wanna do with that? Do we wanna bring it back to, maybe discussion at PMP or something? Or, just see if people wanna start business to do that?
We do have a recommendation on the floor regarding
Yeah,
bylaws.
yeah, so, okay, any more discussion on the recommendation on the floor? All in favor? Okay, for this other deal, we'll just leave it for the time being and, see what happens. And then we can hopefully bring it back. Okay. Schedule of meetings. We can do that right now. We're just gonna go back to 8.5, question the,
And I apologize that I didn't have my page open here. I wasn't ready for it. So the only question I had to this is, I see that we received $21,000 from the provincial government. So obviously there must have been some way that we were able to show what the power costs for our streetlights were in 2015, or what they are budgeted for 2016. And I've asked this question in council before about our hydro meters in the district of Tumbler Ridge. Is there a central location for our hydro meters in the district of Tumbler Ridge? Do you get one large hydro bill? Like, does the rec center have its own one that we have to pay? Do the streetlights have their own one that's located somewhere that we have to pay? Is the Monkman RV Park on its own one? Like, how is the hydro in Tumbler Ridge paid?
It's, when it comes to the district, it's not all on one bill. There's different bills. I don't know what the breakdown exactly is, but how this is calculated is we go through, there's no need for us to physically demonstrate the difference in our power bills. What we do is, so we made this change, it's estimated it's gonna save this much electricity. We put in these generators, it saves this much electricity. And then the province makes their calculation based off of that. So there's no demonstration of decreased power bills.
Okay. Okay, good enough. That's all I wanted to know.
Thank you. So schedule of the meetings. Do you have anything to add, or want to change anything?
Thank you, Worship. Well, we could add the food drive on December 3rd. And then we have something on the 23rd. Is that the building blocks, or is that the visiting session with the museum? So
Is this December?
that's November 23rd. Is the visiting session with the museum?
Well,
So Councillor Kirby is correct. On the 23rd, we have a visioning session, and the PNP will make sure all of these get added in. On December 6th is the building blocks workshop, which is going to start at around 9 or 10. We haven't confirmed the time yet, have we, Mr. Powell?
Oh, yeah.
Not yet. So we don't have the exact time, but it'll be starting in the morning. December 6th at 5 o'clock, council will be going to the second meeting of the performance review, which you guys just passed a minute ago. And KPMG has come and done their second round in Tumbler Ridge for the core services review. They are behind schedule on where they wanted to be. They were supposed to be reporting back to us in the last week of November. They're now looking at coming up on the week of December 12th. I've asked them if December 13th works. They've asked for their own dedicated meeting to going over the core service review, so not putting it in a meeting with anything else because it takes a while to go through. So we're looking at December 13th for that right now, but it's not confirmed yet. So December is going to be the first 2 weeks of December are going to be pretty busy.
Another one that you may see everybody at. It's a core service review.
14th works better for my schedule. Rather than 13th. It's gonna be an evening meeting.
Does the 14th work for everybody?
Is it at night or during the day?
What is it? Night?
I was
meeting or-
planning it just 5 o'clock regular council meeting time, but we can make a change if council would like something different.
14th works for me.
14th is fine.
14th is good.
Are you good for the 14th?
That's fine.
I'll have to confirm with KPMG that they can make it up, but I'll suggest that time for them.
And that's a group meeting, it'll be all of us.
And should we slate like 2 to 3 hours or?
For the core service
Mhm.
review? Yeah, they've asked for, to begin the meeting in open and then to go into closed at the end, so I think these take about 3 or 4 hours to get through, but I'm not.
Sure.
Depends how many questions people have, I believe.
Your worship, that's the KPMG review?
Yeah.
On the 14th.
14th, yeah.
So council,
We're
was
gonna
that
try for
for 5 o'clock you were looking?
5 o'clock sounds good to me. Okay, 9, we'll go to notice of motion. Access by 6, Christmas light up.
Yeah, it just came up at one of our meetings there, so I was in discussion with Mr. Wall, I wasn't sure if it was something that was set in his budget. It's something they've done in the past. It's kind of part of the winter festival, but they do it a little bit early. So they did the light up contest for houses. Previous years, they've had bird squad come in and blast and throw people around, so they're still trying to work it out. But they're, one of the holdups is to find out if the district's willing to support them in regards to having prize money set aside for the winners. So I brought that forward. So that, I'll make the recommendation that the district of Tumbler Bridge donates $300 for first prize, $150 for second prize, and $50 for third prize. The 2016 Success by 6 Christmas Light Up Contest.
Seconder, Councilor Hall. Any discussion on this? I think it's a really good idea.
So what?
All in favor?
I'm just wondering if we could ask staff to get in contact with Miss Ernest to let her know. I mean, I could do it, I'm not sure if it should come from council or if it should come from admin. But I could contact her, but I'm not sure how to, I don't wanna call her, it's not my job. So,
It depends, I would say for something like this, where council's passed it and council, you're giving the money, you may want to reach out to her if it's not something you want to do, we can do it for you.
okay, no, I feel totally comfortable, get a hold of her tomorrow, and let her know that, to add that to her agenda on Wednesday's meeting. Thank you. And thanks council for the support of that.
Okay, takes us to council business. Councilor Scott.
In October, we had the town hall meeting.
One comment that was made was that perhaps next time it'd be a formal setting. Some people like it when there's
Questions asked by all, and everyone hears the answers. So just for
the new year when we get into town hall meetings, if we
keep that in mind. And then I think from overall,
feeling that night was a lot of the resident concerns were
much the same as what, you know, the tasks we've been completing throughout the year. there's the recycling pavement, the bears, used stop sign, walking trails, and bylaws. So I think we're in touch with what people are asking out there. Halloween, I think, was a success. My concern was the night after Halloween, there were 2 bears on somebody's front lawn down on Bergeron. So I think we really need to keep that moving forward so we're ready for next year. And asset management, we have 2 meetings that have been canceled, and we're still waiting on the pavement assessment. And my concern with the canceled meetings are that I'm really wondering if the committees are working. I'd like to see that come back where we are addressing some of that stuff on PMPs, where all of council is involved. I think that the asset management is something that's really, really important, and that maybe all of council. So we won't be having another meeting until November, like towards the end of November. That'll be the next asset management that can be scheduled, and then that'll still have to come back to council, so. And that's it.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. I don't have a whole bunch. I did attend the Halloween bonfire, and I think hats off to the District of Tumberridge Fire Department staff for helping set that up. And then to the Lions Club for obviously doing with free hot dogs and stuff. To me, it seemed like numbers were a little bit down downtown for the bonfire. And I think some of it was signage. I don't think it was advertised well. So hoping next year that when the Lions do that, maybe us as council can support maybe a small budget for advertising on their side. Definitely down. I think I heard, I don't want to give an exact number, but I heard around the 60s. So not even 70 people showed up down there. So I attended the Blundins haunted house. Hats off to them again and their volunteers. I think they did an amazing job. I walked through there with 2 young kids. I know Councillor Kirby was there and Councillor Scott was there. Councillor Kirby was around there scaring people. So hats off to her. I believe it's the 2nd year in a row that I've seen her involved. So hats off to the Blundins. And again, they did it again this year with a bunch of sponsors, some of the business sponsors and stuff that helped out there. So hats off. Hopefully we'll see it in 2017. They say no, but hopefully that'll be a push. One other thing I did is I was contacted by ICBC in regards to some of the comments I made here at the council meeting in regards to an email and conversations I had, and confirmed that they will not be getting rid of their services. They still will be doing Class 7, Class 5 as needed, and same with the higher classes. It might be on a once every 2 months basis or whatever. So something like Councillor Howard mentioned. So they did take the kind of report that was put in our Tumberridge newspaper and reacted on it, I think. So hopefully that'll service will be staying, and they're going to reevaluate it. I can't remember the lady's name I talked to, but they are going to reevaluate it. But I believe we're still waiting for 50 kilometer signs going up. So I'm just kind of wondering a timeline on those. Let me ask Mr. Wall.
I don't have a timeline right now, sorry.
The other thing I just noticed too is, and I didn't bring it up in the action summary area, but I'll bring it up in council business, is we have an issue that we say CN, like to me CN's totally important. I totally voted in favor of a traveling budget. I have no issues with that. We need the tracks fixed to get that here for the mines, and not just for Canuma, but for Tech or Anglo or HD. There's no way to haul coal out this time. But the also aspect of it, I did bring it forward to the worship. I think we need to set a plan up. Like, what's our concept? What's the end result there? Like, we can travel. I mean, don't get me wrong. I fully support the worship and anybody who takes it. We need to take a delegate. But I'm just curious, what is the plan? Like there was no discussion about it. It was $20,000 thrown on the table. But I'm just curious to the plan.
Well, the plan is, and it'll develop as we go through it. I've been in meetings with MP Zimmer and with MLA Bernier already. We're leaving on Wednesday we're going down to talk to Canuma, Anglo, and HD, and maybe Tech. Tech could be involved in the phone about getting them behind this. And then our plan is, well, we've got 2 ways we can go after that, and that is to depend on how that meeting goes, is to talk to the Port Authority and to Minister Bennett. And we thought we might combine that in one trip, because you gotta go to Vancouver to get to Luke and talk to Mr. Bennett. And then go up to the Port Authority. What we're trying to do is build up a case to put some pressure on CN to do it. MP Zimmer said there's actually a amount of money set up by the provincial government to shoot an offer to CN fix infrastructure, kind of like what we got here. And they haven't put any applications in for this, and he wasn't even sure if that was still available. We're actually trying to get hold of him today to find out if he found out more on that. So, you know, it's to me, it's a doable thing, and we are working on a plan. But it just depends on how the first meetings go, what the second meeting will be. And we'll keep council up to date with what we're doing.
Well, I appreciate it, and like I said, I did bring it forward to yourself. It had nothing in regards to the vote or how the money was there. I wanna make sure you're aware that I fully support that concept. It's the plan more than I'm looking for there, so I appreciate the update on that. I wonder if we can add that to the action summary sheet. We said that how we've been asking CN to come here constantly, but I went back through numerous agendas and I haven't seen it CN on there. So maybe we can add that back on. I'm not, maybe not the people you're talking to, but maybe we get our zone guy brought in for a discussion. Maybe he can highlight us, because there's not just issues with the track between here and Chetwynd out here. Now there's issues with the track between Chetwynd and Prince George in regards to some of the washouts where, I'm not gonna say weren't fixed probably, maybe they have some more concern there, but it sounds like there's issues with that track now as well.
I know that we have tried to have CN come to meetings here, and Mr. Walken backed me up on that, and that was more to do with the spur line and stuff like that.
Yep.
And we're just gonna get them to show up. So, and they are difficult group, you know, and but that's why we're trying to build a case before we go see them. That'd be probably the last meeting we have is with CN themselves, so that we've got a case that we can say, look, we've got a letter from the regional district to support us. We're gonna get letters from all the communities around here. We've got to talk to Mr. Wall today. I'd like to have a letter from Chetwynd saying that they don't want trucks loaded with coal going through their town. You know, they support our rail, but they don't want trucking going through, which I know they don't. I think they got a bylaw against it. Yeah. So anyway, that's where we're at, and we'll keep council up to date as much as we can.
So is it worth adding CN back to our action summary sheet? And I'm not saying maybe the big guys, but even our regional manager that's probably at a Prince George. I mean, there might be a regional or a district manager that sits right in the town of Tumble Ridge that lives here.
We'll make a motion to.
Okay, I make a motion that we add CN to our action summary sheet and seeing if they would come forward to council, and that could be anywhere from a district manager to a regional manager.
Secretary for that. Any more discussion on it? In favor? Okay. Councilor Casey.
Thank you, Worship. I have much to report other than the attended the town hall meeting that was scheduled here. I was disappointed in the attendance at the town hall meeting. I thought it was very, very poor. And think that, I don't know if that's a matter of timing, that we're having too many of them too often or not enough. But I certainly, in terms of the low turnout and recognizing certainly those that were there had interest enough to attend. And many that I saw there, and I couldn't count any more than perhaps 15 people that were in, that's excluding members of council and so forth. And I just wondered if it would be worthwhile at some point in time to talk about how we can increase the attendance, what are other mechanisms that we could address and so forth. But if certainly my feeling would to go to the meeting, maybe we need it to be a little more formal affair with presentations of some kind, an open mic so that everybody can hear questions and so forth. But I certainly didn't walk away from the meeting or leave the meeting with the feeling that I had a strong, good feeling relative to the feelings of the town. And I think it would be a mistake for us to think that in terms, and this is not a criticism on those that showed up, but if we were looking to come away from the meeting with a feeling, hey, these are two new directions, or these are things that we should be doing that we're not doing, which would be representative of our community as a whole, I think it's worthy of further discussion, perhaps a P&P or whatever, to see if there's any way that we can increase the numbers that show up. I think it's worthwhile to have it. I think it definitely can be informative and so forth, but it's not the first time that I think that we have had a poor attendance, and there's got to be a reason for that. And I think I'd like to see it put on a P&P or whatever that we could address that whole subject and see if we can sell out the place every once in a while and so forth. So that's the only thing that I have to comment on and report.
You know, I was disappointed too. And with low numbers there, I think maybe this affects the camera, because if people can see our meetings on TV and on the computer, and you notice we don't have very many people sitting here anymore. You know, like I know how you can fill a place is do something wrong. You know, so but I agree with you. It's something we should bring to a P&P and discuss. You know, maybe there's a different way we can do it. I don't think it was the way we did the meeting. I think that to vary them sometimes is good, but because I don't think anybody really knew how we were going to do it until they got there. So I don't think that would keep people away. But anyway, I think it's a good idea to have a discussion somewhere along the line to have to a P&P.
Right. Thank you.
Councillor Kirby.
Thank you, Mayor McPherson. Yeah, I mean, more on the town hall meeting. I think if we were more, you get more conversation on Facebook. I will not start chatting about anything on Facebook. But, you know, anybody who did come to the town hall meeting brought some really good opinions and even solutions. And so I know Mayor McPherson has my list and he's gonna talk on that, but to those that were there, they brought up good issues, for sure. You know, we want to be open and transparent. This takes time for everybody. It takes staff time, it takes our time. Maybe we gotta look at a better way to do it. Maybe we need to have a Facebook night. Let's bring up Facebook and talk about all the stuff online, if that's the way people want to do it. You know, it's really easy to talk and say that and then not come to the town hall meetings. You know, I know that there's other councillors who said, listen, come down, we'll address it. There you go, that's the answer. I sat in on the worker transition meeting. There's some updates coming in. I think Mr. Powell will be bringing those forward in the future. The TAC meeting, the Tourism Advisory Committee, basically working on updating what's going out into our visitor guides, making sure that what we've got out there is the right information, cutting some of it back, getting the important stuff out there and being ready for 2017, and then looking already forward to 2018 signage, billboards, all of that. The Geopark, really nothing too much to come back with there. They had really successful trips. We'll be talking on that. I'll bring a better report once everybody's gotten back and together. The bears are back. That was an issue that recently I've been chatting with people. The break-ins in town, that's always disturbing to hear that people, you know, just taking vehicles right out of yards. You know, lock your vehicles at night. I don't know what the police department are doing about that, if they're doing an extra drive-by in the evenings, but that's a concern. I think basically Pumpkin Patch was good. The weather is kind of getting kind of iffy for it, so we're kind of talking about maybe in working together with the Saddle Club next year and trying to maybe have it out there, so it brings people back to the grounds there, and they have the Quonset, they have other ways that might be kind of make the event a little better. Other than that, I think that's all I need to touch base on.
All right, well, let's beat the town hall meeting to death a little bit longer here. Can we add that to PPC, Jordan? Do you want to vote on that or anything, or?
Anybody can request an item on the PPC, so you want to
So
have a
it's-
discussion?
Is it good to go? We can have a discussion on that, so that's added.
Okay.
And so two of the things that came out of that that I found that hasn't been touched on yet was the name of it. Calling it a town hall meeting. I had a few people come to me and ask me about it later on, and they said we thought it was at town hall and it had to do with town hall. And if you maybe had called it something like an open house with town council or something, you may have got a better turnout. So that's another thing we can add to it and talk about. And another thing that came out of it was the amount of redundant or repetitive questions that some councillors may have been able to answer, the mayor or someone was not. And we've had a lot of discussion around this council already about that, and we got to formulate our ideas. It's critically important that we answer the questions of people that take the time to come down to an event like that and voice their opinion, and we need to listen to what they got to say. We said that's what we were going to do when we started this job. That's what I said anyways. And it's important that we are following that up and then getting the information out to the public, because people may have the very same question. And that's just something I think that in the format that we've had before, where one person asks the question and we can all answer it, or someone that may be well versed in it, or that time we as a council sit there and staff realizes that that particular issue is hot enough that we want follow-up for that person on it. And instead of it being a decision of one councillor, it can be a decision of 7 at that point. That's all I got on that. The second one, this is a question to the rest of the council. Something's come to my attention here, and I noticed it myself when I was out at the provincial park here at Willem Lake, and it has to do with the dock and the area around the dock. I wonder, is there any provincial body that we can write a letter to, if council is in favor of it, of asking them to put in a better dock system and a boat launch area? Willem Lake, I've heard from a few different people, they had the prop speed off their boat this year because the dock was slanted and sloped over, and they hit concrete that was left on the bottom of the lake. And there were some kids that slipped off the dock because half the dock was in the water. You know, we push the Geo Park, and this is an opportunity for us just to go back to the provincial government and say, hey, you need to bone up on what we've got for services out there. And is that, I don't know how to go about that, but is that something we could write a letter to them to ask them to put a little bit of money into the dock and the boat launch in the spring of this year so that it's there and in place?
You can make that motion.
So I don't quite know who to make the motion to, but is it to the park? Is there a Parks and Recreation within the? So okay, I'll put a motion on the floor that we address a letter to the Parks and Recreation Department of the provincial government, formally requesting that they upgrade the boat launch and also a dock system that can accommodate more than half a dozen boats. Possibly a dozen boats in the area would be good. And see if we could get a response from them to have it in place early in the spring of 2017.
And I would say CC it to right, Denny? Secretary? Councillor?
Also, if we get letters of support from some of the surrounding areas like Chetwynd and Dawson Creek, because there are a lot of people that use that area as well.
Yep.
So that would help too.
Ask for that. Send that to their council. Okay. You seconded that, right?
Yes.
Councillor Kirby.
Maybe before we pass that, if we could also include the moving of the gate so that we could have year-round access. I mean, it could, if we're sending a letter, that could also be addressed in a concern.
Yeah. So there is a gate that blocks off the campground at this point,
And it's,
but the one that's up by the highway is
Yes.
still locked.
right,
Right. So the idea of that was to, and they put that new gate in at the provincial park, but they didn't take the one off, so we can actually get to it. So kind of a cross thread there, but yeah, let's add that as well.
Okay, so that's amendment to that, so we'll vote on the amendment first to get that added.
You need a mover and a seconder on the amendment.
Okay, we got a mover, seconder, Councillor Kukupka. Any more discussion on the amendment? All in favor? Okay, any more discussion on the main motion? All in favor? Good deal.
Okay, and then I had some stuff here on CN Rail about formulating a letter, but I think what you've discussed is a great idea and a good way to start with it. And the last thing I have is on the pavement in the district of Tumbler Ridge. And this is, I guess, a question to staff. Do we have all the pavement done that we had budgeted for in 2016? Is it now complete that the weather smartened up?
I'm not sure about the last quarter of trail from the path that council approved down to Southgate, but everything other than that I believe is complete, yes.
Okay, and then the last question on to do with the pavement is what's the deal with the wavy pavement that was put in the new area that we approved? Is there any reason why they decided to put a snake in the trail? It doesn't align with any of the trails we have in Tumbler Ridge. There's no rhyme or reason why they would do it. It would actually cost more to put that in. You'd use more asphalt. Who approved the work, or who went over the work once it was done? Do we have somebody in the district that goes down and says, "Yeah, you did a good job. Here's your check," or is this something that has been missed by the staff? Or because to me it looks ridiculous, and it's been brought up to me by quite a few people.
Mr. Wall.
Yeah, we have staff that would sign off on the work that's done, and then you deliver the checks. I'm not sure who made the design on the pathway. I know that looking at the path, the beginning could be kept straight, but the rest of it would need to curve and snake around. The sloping of the hill needs to curve around the telephone poles that are there as well. So for the majority of that track, it can't be straight.
Yeah, and I get that. If there were areas in there where there's telephone pole or power poles and there's guy wires coming off, that makes sense where you've got to dip and weave your path. But the area that I'm talking about was the new area that we approved from the corner of Bergeron towards the HD housing project. The very first 100, 150, 200 meters of it, there's a couple of these in it. I've walked the path. I looked on the ground. I couldn't see anything. Maybe there's an underground facility we don't know about, but it was also brought up to me by quite a few residents at the town hall meeting. And if we could get some clarity to that, if there's any reason why it was done like that, and if we signed off on it and paid the contractor to have it done that way, I'd like to know. To me, it looks silly. It looks out of place.
I know it's to whoever, I know I looked at it today, and I kinda like it. It's not meant to be a sidewalk to get to someplace fast. It's more of a walking trail, more for exercise and get out. I know it's not like the other side, but looking at it, I don't have no problem. Now, who approved it to go like that? I don't know. I know I was never asked, but I don't. It's on the eye of the beholder, I guess, is how you take it. I don't see any problem with it, but I don't know who would approve that to go in there.
Yeah, I would just ask where council's going. If you want to know who's responsible for it, I'm responsible for it. If there's something that was done that council doesn't like, that's my responsibility. If there's something that was done blameworthy, council let me know that this was something you don't like, then I'll deal with that issue internally. Who's responsible for it? It's me.
Maybe it's something simple down there that we don't know about. Maybe there's an underground utility that couldn't be covered up or something. I don't know, but I would like to know what was the intention of building the path in that direction. I don't know if we're gonna have a vote on that I can ask that question, but that's what I'd like to know.
Mr. Waller, so we could just ask get something from the contractor that this is why he did it that way.
Yeah.
Okay. That'd be good enough.
Yeah, absolutely. That's all I got.
Okay. Okay. I got a few things. Mr. Kirby come and see me, and we had a long talk. The first thing is I've asked staff to put a update in the paper on the HD housing project, so that people know where it's at and when it's gonna be finished and all that. So that'll be one in the paper. Please just let people know that you can get it done. I've also asked, and I'm gonna ask council if we can bring to a PNP transfer station. That's what I call the dump. I looked at that, and I think I put it in my email to you guys. That dump, that transfer station was built quite a few years ago when recycling wasn't even talked about. And if you look at it, all those signs there, which I know, I don't like them. But what they do is they direct people to that caretaker shack up on top by the compression station there. And that should not where it should be. It should be down the road, so you have to drive through it, and then they can say, well, this is what you got, this is where you go. And there might be maybe 5 signs there, rather than all the ones you got. And also the other thing that Councilor Kirby brought up is that if you're taking your recycling down there, you've gotta drive pretty well right to the dump to get to the recycle station now, the way it's set up, and even though the first building along there is a recycle. So I think, I'd like to bring it to the PMP and then talk about having staff come up with a plan on how we can fix this thing. I brought it up actually at the regional district meeting because there is a real regional district issue too. And they didn't seem like they were gonna pay for a whole bunch, but I said the request will be coming. So we'll see where that can go to it, because it's, maybe we can get some grant money or something out of the regional district. But anyway, I'd like to bring that to a PMP if everybody's okay with that. Councilor Kaka?
May I just ask a question there?
Yeah.
Who paid for all the signs to go down there this time?
Well, I imagine we did, but I can see why they're there.
Yeah, no, I get that, I just wondering why, if it's regional district, they wouldn't have paid for that.
No, they wouldn't have paid for the signs. They said, I don't think so. Anyway, we'll bring it to PMP and we can get, have all the answers there. And I also want to bring to a PMP for discussion is our vehicle use policy. It's been kind of a thorn in our side for a long time, and I think it's time to get it on the table, and if there's things that have to be changed, we'll get it changed. If council's okay with that, we'll bring that to PMP too. And then moving the old wash building down at Monkman Park, which was part of the presentation from Roxanne. And it's, we're gonna have to bring it to a PMP, or is it just something that we want to throw in the budget, because it's gonna cost a few bucks? Yeah, I think it's something that maybe could be advertised. I think it should come to a PMP because it could be advertised as, if you want this building, if you got use of this building, come and take it. So bring that to a PMP too, discuss that. Okay, that's stuff. Also for the groups that are get fee for service, I'd like to have them come in and tell us how well their year went and what they spent the dollars that we gave them. So, and that's even stuff like the Groomer and stuff that we will create, stuff like that, where they're at with that type of stuff. I'd sure like to hear what's going on. All right, Councilor Kirby.
Thank you, Mayor McPherson. Just on that note with the groups, I'll be going to a Chamber of Commerce meeting on the 9th, and I would like to suggest that make a motion that council invites them to come and do to present to council on what's been happening with the chamber and give us an update. If council could approve that, I'd like to do that on the November 9th meeting.
Make a motion to
Invite the Chamber of Commerce to, as a delegation to council.
seconder for that. This will be the first part of our fee for service.
Yeah.
Any more discussion on it? All in favor? And there's one thing that come up in the regional district. We went to a question and answer period, and my idea of a question and answer period was at the end, the way we run ours. And it was brought up by Taylor. They've gone to one. It's a 15-minute deal right before the meeting, so that you can only discuss what's on that agenda, and so that way you're not talking to people about what you've decided. You're talking to people about what you're going to decide. So there might be something that somebody from the gallery will bring up that you didn't know about. So I'd just like council to think about that, and maybe at some point we can discuss moving that. And, but it would have to be just what's on that agenda, because you'd end up here for an hour before the meeting. There'd have to be a time limit, which I can monitor that. Councilor Casey.
Thank you, Worship. I think it's a good subject to have, and as I recall, we've had somewhat of a discussion previously, but is that another topic that we would add on a PMP?
I think so, yeah. Mr. Wall.
To make that change, your council agendas as well as the reports are done through bylaw. So we'd have to amend the bylaw, which is not a problem, but I would say There's some changes that I want to bring to council to change the format of our reports. So maybe if council would just hold on to a little bit, we can do that all at once. That might
Yeah,
be
That'd be a
useful.
good idea. Okay. Yeah, so as long as it's gonna come back to us. then. Okay, and that's, everything I had. Question and answer period, all we got is you, Trent.
I don't think I've got anything specifically coming off this agenda. But I want some questions.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
How come you didn't put a retraction in the paper about your story?
Which one?
The one about the lots in the upper thing being decided on in the PPC.
I put it into Facebook and I don't, have we had a paper? Yeah, we had one. So,
Something though that's kind of, you know, you've made an assumption based on something that happened at PPC, and I don't know if you're on the wrong assumption or that was what was actually said at PPC, but
well, there was a motion made and it was passed, so.
Okay.
And I was told that things that, and the discussion that happened the week before was, you asked about the signage, right, the road signs, and why that was a motion in poor standing, it was because it had to do with money.
Mhm.
Which is, and so,
That's good, we're not gonna get into this. Council Katie, you had something?
Well, no, just the fact that there are some people in the world that aren't on Facebook.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
It's in the paper, put it in the paper,
I'm one
no
of them.
problem.
Okay. Resolution to close meeting. Wanna do that? Mr. Kaka, the recommendation? Yep. Seconder? Councilor Kirby, all in favor? Okay, we'll take